Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
Jason, just so you know, we are here. So everything you type, we're keeping track of. So watch yourself, even if you get here while you're waiting for us to jump on. So we, I'm pretty sure we skipped a week. Did you do it last week? I was gone. I was
Yeah,
completely.
we skipped away. I was sick.
You were
I
sick. I was
was
gonna I
I
was
was
gonna
sick.
mention that. Yeah, you were knocked out, and I was currently in a car driving my family to North Georgia,
There
which
you go.
will be part of my update. But I
Well,
think we
welcome
got a
back.
pretty good show. We're glad to be back. I know I'm glad to be back. I missed it last week. I've been
Yeah, it
really
felt
enjoying
felt
these
weird.
chats. Yeah, it's like this. It's like the perfect way to wrap up the week, full of like energy. Like normally Fridays end, and I'm like very low energy, not really like I'm just like ready to log off. But now that like my day ends on Friday with this, it's just like I like go into the weekend just full of energy. I love it.
I also like knowing that even if I didn't accomplish anything else, like on my like personal stuff
Mm,
side,
right,
like
right,
I
right.
at least have one thing I'm doing. I can get creative juices flowing, whatever you want to call that. I know people hate that weird word, but
I don't know. I like juices. Juices are great.
there you go,
Better, even better when they're flowing. No
juice
worries.
monster.
The juice monster. Heck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I
All
like I
right.
like saying that I did something, Like, hey,
Yep.
every Friday I
Feels
did
feels
something.
good. Consistent,
Yeah.
like we talked about week before last, with like the small story stuff. It's just showing up consistently every time that we can. Hopefully weekly. There will always be hiccups, but
Yep. Do it 100
all
times
right.
and who knows what we'll learn.
Who knows what's gonna happen? What you got?
Who
What
knows?
what did you do this week? Slash
Yeah.
also maybe last week if you did anything other than try to heal.
Yeah, the last week I didn't do much. I felt like I had like 2 hour stretches where I was fine. And I was like, I think I just did not get enough sleep maybe when I was in London. So when I got back,
Mm,
I
mm-hmm.
didn't get any sleep when I came back. And so it was like this thing of like, I was just trying to catch up. So like I had like these stretches of like, oh, 2 hours here or there. Like I would get a whole bunch of work done. Then I would like sleep
Mm-hmm.
for like 3 hours or just literally be completely exhausted. Yeah, this week has been pretty fun. I've gotten a lot of stuff done professionally. I've gotten a lot of stuff done personally. A lot of the things that
Mm,
I've been working on this week in my personal side of like just like nights and weekends, I've been working on this mobile app
yeah.
that is using like Expo React Native on the side and then Laravel API on the back end. And it's been fun. It's been fun to learn like all like these weird quirks and like little snippets here and there of
Right,
hey,
right.
here's how to do X, Y, or Z, especially when I'm not used to having things connected. Like it's been a while since I've worked on a project that has a separate API, like a separate backend.
Mm, mm-hmm,
But it's
mm-hmm.
actually really fun. And I've been using AI a lot to do it. And it's been cool to like it's not a mono repo. So like
Okay.
a lot of like I've been learning is like how to use Claude Code to basically write instructions to my second Claude Code that is using the backend. So
Ooh,
I'll
okay.
have it copy files across my whole entire system to say like, hey, here's like the instructions for the next step, and it'll pass it over to like my backend and then start doing it there.
What? Okay,
It's
that
been pretty
seems
fun.
crazy. Yeah, that seems wild.
What about you?
Okay, well, I have not been diving into AI anywhere near that much. That sounds incredible. I've honestly not. This is not a topic for discussing right now, but I want you to tell me like what it's like using. Like I've been a big Cursor fan. I
Yeah.
use Cursor a lot, but I've not used any of the like terminal based ones.
Yeah.
So I would be very curious to hear like your experience with them. But
Yeah.
as far as what's happened, you know what's so crazy is that your life can be so routine and so scheduled. And like you can know exactly what you're going to do every week and you just feel like you're firing on all cylinders. Then all of a sudden, life just like punches you in the face and it's just like, hey, guess what? For the next 2 weeks, chaos, pure chaos. Like, sorry, I know what you had planned and like that you had things going for you, but like, good luck trying to get into any rhythm for the next 2 weeks. That is what happened to me.
Mm,
So like the week before last, it all happened because my company, Crunchy Data, got acquired.
yeah.
And then we've got like super tight deadlines for like integrating our product into the bigger Snowflake product. And part of that required us going to meet in San Francisco as I mentioned the last time we had the show. So that was like last week. And it was like the first time I've ever had like an in-person visit at a company. Like I've always worked remote while I've been a developer, a designer developer. Um, and like none of the companies have been like, hey, everybody come to our office and we're going to like meet and plan, etc. Well, we did that at their
Okay,
offices
I
in
see.
San Francisco. Very cool. But it was just like nonstop days of like, hey, here's like everything we need to cover, everything that we're going to
Mm.
do to like integrate this product, which was just a lot.
So
And I
not
was in
even
San
just the normal HR stuff, and here's how to
no,
do
no, no.
X,
It
Y,
was
and Z.
like we've been employees for all of 2 weeks, and it's like how when are we going to get the product integrated, and like how are we going to do it? It
Yeah,
was just like
it's a lot.
whirlwind. So like there's that, and that is just like I mentioned, only 2 weeks after we even started at the new company, which was like a week after I found out that the company was acquired. So it's just
Yeah.
like things just like my entire like professional life just completely like changed in such a
Mm.
short period. So like that whole last week was spent in San Francisco. I get back on Thursday evening at like 6 or 7, wake up the next morning for a much needed family vacation. But drove up to North Georgia and we spent a week in a house in the mountains. We went to a nice waterfall with the kiddos, went on a hike, spent a lot of time in the pool that the house had in the mountains.
Oh,
It was
nice.
extremely delightful, but it was just also extremely jarring because it was like heads down, super busy week into like literally nothing going on. But like you just came off this. I don't know if you've ever had like a big planning session type thing of like, here's what we're going to be doing, and you got this energy and this hype for like, all right, let's get to it. We've got the plan. We know what we're going to do. Like, and then it was like vacation. So it's like all this energy is just like pent up, and I can't do anything with it because I'm on vacation, and I needed it. I needed to go on vacation, and it was a good time. But whew, that was my
See,
week. I got nothing done.
funnily enough, those times when I'm like, okay, I'm hyped up, but then I literally can't do it because I'm trying to get away
Right.
or like not take my laptop places or vacation, that kind of thing. Funnily enough, that is when I have used AI probably more, because then I feel like I
Okay.
feel like when I'm not able to get things out, that I do like a lot of like AI research or like planning, and like I'll open up just Claude on my phone and I'll just be like, hey, like
Right. You do
let's
more.
plan
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this whole next
Gotcha.
step. Like,
Smart.
tell me what
Smart,
I'm
smart, smart.
thinking, where I'm wrong. Actually, that has been the first time I've used, both with Gemini and with Claude. That's the first time I've used like speech, like voice and chat with it.
How'd you
Because
like it?
like, yeah, I really like it. It's one of those things where it's like, I feel like I have I don't know, like a coworker who I'm just
Right.
talking through problems, and like
Mhm.
yeah, it's been pretty good so far. But yeah, that has been when the times when I know I need to have a vacation, but I'm not working. It's more of just like working
Right,
out or
right.
going
Just
for a
working.
walk or something,
Yep.
like keeping my brain
Yeah.
flowing.
I do that when I go. I'll like do it occasionally. I don't do it every single walk because I do believe in like needing to get some space for like not burning yourself out. But I go on like a big walk every day in my neighborhood with like a weighted vest on and stuff, and I'll put on AI voice thing and like talk through
Yeah.
something that I'm like trying to chew on. If I don't know, then it's like then there's like the other mode, which is like, okay, I've planned and talked through everything that I possibly can, and now I'm just chomping at the bit to like start hacking away on it.
Yep. Exactly.
Cool. All right. I want
like
to
it.
know about nostalgia, because you've got this card on here where it's like nostalgia versus excellence. And
Yeah.
I'm like, how do those
How do they correlate?
how are those correlating?
No, I'll tell you the backstory. When I started thinking about this just like a couple of days ago, I didn't see this until 2 days ago, Wednesday, I think it was. It might have been
Mhm.
Tuesday, but I had seen on Twitter, Backyard Baseball was released for
Oh,
like,
that brings back some memories.
yeah, released for Switch and
Mhm.
PS5, and I think it's on Steam too.
Oh,
But I have a
okay.
Switch, and so
Yep.
I bought it, I downloaded it, and I felt like I was 12 years old again. I might have been younger when I first started playing backyard baseball. Like I remember
Yeah.
playing it on my parents' Windows 98 machine. And the whole time I'm playing it, even now, I'm like, this is the most fun I've had
Mhm.
playing a game in such a long time because
As an adult right now, like, you're
as
saying
an
that,
adult
right? Like,
right
as
now.
an adult, this is the most fun. Okay.
Yeah, probably in the last like couple years, like 2 or 3 years. And I've played like I don't game a lot, but I've played like recent games. I've played like a lot of Pokemon, Zelda, like some
Mhm.
pretty world class standard good games.
Sure.
And it got me thinking of like when I was playing, I was like, okay, literally, this is everything that I want. I could jump in 10 minutes and be good, or I could play for a couple hours. I think I played for like 3 hours.
Right.
I was like trying to teach my 2-year-old and my 3-year-old how to play. They didn't really get it, but
Little young.
yeah,
Mario
little
Kart's the most that I've been able to get my, like, right around 4 is when you can put, like, all the guardrails on, and they just have to
yeah.
press literally
My,
one
my
button, and they have a
3-year-old
good
can
time.
play some games on Mario Party, the ones that you just press the
Ooh,
button. So I
yep,
have to
yep,
find like
yep.
the specific
That's fun.
games that you
Yeah.
know. But the whole time I was thinking, I was like, in my head, I was like, is this just a really good game? And
Mhm.
game quality and generalization of game excellence has just gone downhill because now it's just like pumping things out and not actually like having fun, or just like you're trying to hit like a specific standard, or you're also trying to hit like specific monetary goals within building games and stuff
Right.
like that.
Yep.
Or is it just that I used to play this when I was 10 years old, and that was literally all I played? Backyard baseball, backyard football. I think those were like the only outside of like a typing game. I remember like this one typing computer game that I played. I think those were like the only games I played probably like for 3, 4, 5 years straight until I got, you know, a GameCube, I think. So like
Yep.
it got me thinking, is there something related to, and I think we have this across different variations of our of life and lives in general, where it's like are you do you need are you more nostalgic for things that you're used to, or is it that you know just quality and excellence used to be better? I feel so old
Mhm,
when I say
mhm.
that,
Okay.
but I
Gotcha.
truly
Okay.
think it's a
I
little
see
bit of
what you're
both.
saying. Yeah. So, this is I did not know where you're gonna go with this, but I'm really glad you took it here because I have also thought about this a lot recently. I actually wrote an article here for, UX Tools.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember reading this.
yeah, buddy Tommy, who runs this whole site, he pushed me on this to write it, and it's I think that this kind of falls under this, which is like there are people who um, they misconstrue execution with excellence. Maybe is
Hmm.
since you use the word excellence, where it's like just because you can do something doesn't mean it should be done, or like just because you can do something really high quality doesn't mean it's good. Um, and back when I'm going to say back when I think things change. I think we're both showing our age a little bit here the way we're talking about this, but I think it's true, which is like there used to be more constraints on like what was possible. And so because there were more constraints on like what you could do in a certain timeline, that meant that you needed to focus more on the parts that actually make games fun or the parts that make software good. Um, and so these days, it's just like the games were just like they had, and that's the same with TV shows and movies these days. Like there are
Hmm.
so few good shows and movies because people like it's just like people are like doing remakes or they're redoing things because they're trying to like, hey, we can't write something. People just can't seem to write something original because the can't like I don't know if this has to do with it, but it's just like I always feel like because you can do things that look so good, you don't think that you need to do such a good job with like how you frame a shot, how you tell a story, the scripts that you're writing. Um, so I think that that's it to me is like people have lost some of the soul,
Yeah.
the emotion that comes with a game, like with specifically what you were talking about, like games, which is like part of it is like we have a nostalgia for like a game that we had an emotional connection to and played a lot when we were younger. But the other part of it is like a lot of games, because they can do cool things with the technology, don't spend as much time focusing on how to design a game that's fun. They just think about designing a game that's cool, and cool does not always mean fun.
Yeah.
And that's the same in like software. Like just because you can make something in software that looks super cool doesn't mean you actually solved a problem worth solving, or solved it in a way that resonates with people. So I agree, man, like 100%. You know, like
it's funny that you bring up like TV shows and movies too, because that was one of the things that I initially thought of too. I was like, okay, video games, like usually I would rather play, let's see, like one of the Game Boy games I just have this nostalgia for is Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. It's kind of like a more underrated game, I would say.
Oh yeah.
It's not.
I'm a big Zelda fan.
It's not, you know, Wind Waker or stuff like that, where it's like, oh, they were just remaking it a bunch of times.
Yep.
But it's always one of those things where it's like, okay, is it just because I played this a lot, or
At a
that's
certain
the
age.
thing that I most remember, or is it because I think it's actually better? And I think it's like you said, it's a little bit of both. It's like why is there so many remakes of movies now? And are those remakes possibly better in some ways? Probably, but where does that like nostalgia versus it was actually better kind of come into play? And I think like there, like you said, like there's this 2-factor part of, you know, I think excellence leads to nostalgia, where you almost have like the better you make something now, the better it's going to be remembered. But you also have to have the like this originality that you're talking about too.
Yeah. Yep. It takes like really understanding like what goes into building something and who you're building it for. And like if you understand those two things, like if you deeply understand how to make things that are good, and you understand who you're trying to make it for, like if you're not clear on who you're making it for, it doesn't matter how good you can make something. And sometimes if you really understand who you're making something for, you could do a less good job and still be better than somebody who did something at a very high quality. So it's like the most important thing is just understanding who you're doing it for and why you're doing it. And as long as you understand those things, like you'll have like a solid foundation to like push forward whatever other pieces of it that you want to be able to do. And I think that's a big like a lot of people like talk about their movies in the sense where it's like, oh man, we used the best cameras and it was the highest quality. And we use this like really cool lighting technique and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, that's great. But like, if that is not in the service of like a really good story that people can emotionally connect to, like, sorry, not a good story.
Interesting.
Doesn't matter how good it looks.
Now I'm curious then, because I almost I get where you're saying, but like I almost am wondering if it's less of, I think almost like overthinking audience also can lead to less
How so?
retention in a lot of ways. Because I think there used to be, I don't, for example, and I was not part of like the creation of like these games, and like I don't know like the inner workings of game business, or even like original Disney stuff, for example, because that's where my mind is going right now.
Right.
But I almost wonder if the optimization for audience leads to less retention, because there is not kind of like there isn't that soul, there isn't that built. So I think
I see what you're saying.
Past game
maybe with
creators,
entertainment specifically. Yeah.
There you go. Like when it comes to entertainment, I think like current games are like, hey, we need to hit these particular. We're marketing specifically for this age range and specifically within this demographic. And if we don't hit these numbers, then like this is a fail. We need to release a DLC. And
I
like
see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yep. I
like
that.
Before it was like we just need to make like a fun game that people are gonna play.
Yeah. Like we want to make money and we want to make something that's fun.
Yeah. I think over optimization. I think we almost have that within like we've talked about that like within our show, like our own individual like content, stuff like that. Like you can over optimize and then you lose all of that
soul, the meaning behind it.
Soul.
The interestingness. That's not a real word, just made that up. All right, cool.
But I do think you do have to understand your audience though too.
You do. There's a balance for sure. That reminds me of something that I have in our backlog that now I want to like bring it up. So I might try to drop that in before the end of the show. But let's move on to something dope that has absolutely
Something
nothing to
dope.
do with what we are talking about. Maybe it does a little bit. All right, I'm gonna just start playing this.
I'm applying for Founders Inc. off-season.
My name is Izzy, and this isn't your generic introduction video.
5 months ago, I didn't even know what the builder space was. But in recent months, my friends have shown me just how amazing it is. It's a whole community of founders and builders, the future of the world. Now, where do I fit in? I'm an electrical engineering student. I believe in innovation, telling a story, and putting yourself out there. But I'm also a filmmaker, at least trying to be, sharing stories and trying to get better with every video. Ultimately, I want to build something that allows both my passions for filmmaking and engineering to converge rather than to conflict. And I got some ideas, so I hope to see you soon. Watch!
All right. That I just saw it on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it. It was like it went.
I did not see it.
I don't know if I'd say viral, but like it was like talked about among a circle of people that I'm like in X. And this video went around, and I was just like, this is really good, because I don't think a lot of people are making video like this, and I think that I just thought it was dope. Like I thought he's so this kid is like an electrical engineer, is what he went to college for. But he's also like super into content creation, which is not two things that you think go together. And I'm not sure how he makes them go together. Like maybe he just likes content. And maybe he wants to do like a hardware startup of some kind. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But what I do know is that this is like a very dope video. And he has like a very unique perspective on it. Because I just thought like this feels kind of back into, I don't know if you were a big like Casey Neistat vlog watcher when he was putting out all of his stuff, but it kind of had that like that gritty feel to it when like vlogging was really popular, and then it just wasn't at all for a while. But I don't know, I liked how it kind of had that like gritty, feels kind of homemade vibe to it, but also had this like really nice like well-designed like graphic font on it, and like all these like little pieces like that. And like this just kind of falls under this bucket of like things I love, which is just like he is trying to go out for this off season at whatever that was. Let me pull it up real quick because I can't remember what his
build space. Is that what it was?
Build space. It was like something off season F. Inc., which is Founders Inc. So Founders Inc. off season, which I think is like some like kind of like a YC-ish type thing. And like this was his way of saying like, I want in, like let me in. And I love that. Like I love when people like full send something that's just like, man, I put a ton of effort into this very specific thing that is like just for this one moment. Like, hey, I did this for you because of how much I care. Like he made an impact. I don't know if he made it in yet. I've not seen a follow-up on it or anything, but I know of a number of people who like, whether that worked out or not, there were a couple of people who reached out who were just like, yo, this is dope. Like, let's work together. So it's just like, man, just like making good stuff. Sometimes that's all you need. Like you just got to make good stuff and share it. And that's like, I love that ethos. And that's what that video was to me. It was so good.
Yeah. It reminds me of I'm trying to find who it was and the specific reply that this person had. But I saw this YouTuber who has a business like editing shorts and editing YouTube. I remember his business name. I'm trying to find like, here it is. Let me actually pull up.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll pull up my display. Plop this open here. Let's do this.
Oh, here's another one. Emmett said that there's a girl that did the same thing. It's not the exact same thing, like a video thing, but like she posted about being a Shopify intern, and then it blew up and turned into an offer in 24 hours. Where I just love that kind of stuff. Like you're just willing to like throw yourself out there with like passion and like hard work. Love it. All right. What you got?
All right. So there was this guy named Henry Belcaster. I don't know if the audio is going to come through.
Unger,
Alright.
you've built amazing companies. Once I make more, I want to be on Carrie. But now you want to build a YouTube presence. I got you. Who the fuck am I, you ask? I'm Henry, and a few years ago, I started a YouTube channel to share what I was learning. It's called Smart Nonsense. The channel's grown to over 3 million subscribers, and we average 4 million views per video. So as the channel grew and we figured this editing thing out, I realized there was something bigger. Founders, creators, brands, all asking, how do I tell my stories in a way that people actually listen to? So I started Clipped, a storytelling and video editing agency. We've worked with Sam Parr and helped the My First Million team turn into a podcast powerhouse. We worked with Tim Ferriss, Will Smith, Naval Ravikant, and brands like Sam Altman's World and CeraVe. But it's not just video. For my own channel, we also create the Smart Nonsense newsletter that complements the content, building an ecosystem where each piece of content feeds the other. That's the same playbook my team would help you run. Clip handles everything: strategy, creative, production, and we think holistically how video, newsletters, and storytelling work together to grow your audience. Let's chat. I think we can help you build your content machine. Okay.
That's good. I like that.
So like this like anchor from Carrie
Okay.
HQ. I followed him for a little bit.
Yep.
But he was like, I'm hiring a personal content strategist. Literally, this reach is not like a lot. Like, so it didn't go very far.
Yeah.
He's like,
I mean, it's got a ton of views, like a decent amount of views, but not just anything too crazy.
yeah, it's like for the right person, this could grow into a chief of staff role. And it was like, hey, this is what I want to do. And then this dude, Henry Belcaster, who also does not have like, is not a huge presence,
Crazy
at
amount of
least on
followers. Yeah.
Twitter,
Right.
was like, I'm going to create this really well done video talking about specifically who you am, who I am, and why you should hire me.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. Because then he also gets like, if you know you're good, or like if you are worth, if you think it's worth putting yourself out there, you've got the social proof of everybody being like, this is like, he's dope. We like him. Like, he's great. You know, like if you've got a following, and you don't have to have a crazy following, like you just got to have, and this is like, I'm going to tie this into like my topic for after like the second half, which goes into this. But it's just like, if you've got like a dope built good social capital, when you do stuff like that, you have people who come to support you and back you up, which help people like de-risk decisions like that.
Yep. Yeah.
We
need some eyeballs. And then, he built Teachable. So Anchor, who now is founder of Carrie, also built Teachable. So I imagine he appreciates a good video.
Oh yeah. 100%. Love that. Cool. All right. I found it. So this is what I found right here. I'm going to pop this up here. All right. It says it's a quote from Tyler, the creator, and says, create like a child and edit like a scientist. That mindset solved many things. So it's like it's kind of like what you were saying, which was when you were talking about all this stuff, where it's like, you just got to create a bunch. Like you got to throw a bunch of stuff against the wall. You got to create and make and try and do a bunch of different things to kind of see what is fun. Like if you're doing games, like what is fun? Like try a bunch of different mechanics, try a bunch of different like ways to do the game. And then like, once you've got that figured out and you figured out what's fun and what works, then like edit down like a scientist, like then start doing tracking, like test play it with people, do these things that like hone in on your audience and how they like it. But like the start of the work, the creation, the ideation, like figuring out the soul of something, you should be like treating that like a child, where like there are no rules. You just do a bunch of stuff. And then when it comes to like refining, that's when you kind of put on your data hat and like really try to like focus in on like numbers and data.
Yeah. It's almost like we named this show for a reason.
Riff and refine. Heck yeah. Just keep those, backing ourselves up with how great it is.
Henry says, too many people ask for permission to create, and it drives me nuts. That's a great quote.
Yeah. Like you don't need it. You don't need permission. Just start making. Love that. Thank you for speaking up. Everyone show up. If you're in the crowd, talk to us. We love it. That's perfect, Henry.
And it's great because it's like one of those things where you almost need the ability and the freedom to like just figure things out. Like there's so much, especially like the first couple of Laravel applications that I built, I did not do things the proper Laravel way. Like I don't even know what the proper Laravel way is still to this day. I work at Laravel. I still don't know. But it's one of those things where like,
I won't tell Taylor.
It works. Like I know that the outcome works and now I can refine it. Like,
sure. Yep.
Exactly. That Tyler Creator quote is gold. We'll be thinking about that all day. Yeah, I love that. I haven't heard of that,
Chris.
Actually.
That's what we're here for. We are going to surface things that other people did. That's great, and you're gonna learn something from it.
That's all we do. We just find good things other people do, and then we were like, hey, we should do something good.
We've got plenty of stuff. We've got some stuff we're gonna be.
If you need 10 of something, make 30, then pick the best. Rick Rubin. Great quote.
Love that too. Oh, that actually. Okay, so small anecdote. I was like going for a job position that I was like super pumped about, like dream job situation. We did like a trial run working, and I like did not get the job. And that's why is because I had gotten into like a rhythm of where like I knew a problem space so well that I didn't make a bunch of things. I just made one of the first things that I came up with because I had a pretty good, I was comfortable in the zone that I was in, and I was able to like pretty quickly iterate and make what I needed without like doing a bunch of versions. And the reason that I didn't get the job at the new place is because I kept that mindset going into it, and did not like, it didn't go well because they were like, we didn't like the first version that you came up with something. And it like we saw where you were like iterating on things and like you didn't try a bunch of stuff, you know, like, and I was like, like I could feel it. Like I could feel that they didn't like what I was doing. And they were like, you crushed the engineering work. You know, like you jumped into a code base that you had no clue, had never been in it. And like you contributed immediately. And that was like, good. Okay. So like you're saying I'm really good at engineering, which is great. But like my design process has gotten too engineering. Like I've gotten too comfortable, too complacent. And that happened a while ago, like a yearish ago or so. And that like really like kicked me in the butt. And I'm like, so I like, since then I've like purposefully gone like overboard back onto like iteration, trying a bunch of things. Like I was like, oh man, I've gotten super complacent on design and like this idea of riffing and creating a bunch of stuff to like refine down to something that's really good. So anyway, that sent me on that tangent. That was fun. All right. We've got, it's the middle of the show. We've got B-roll time. B-roll is the part of the show where we try to give you some behind the scenes on what we have going on to make this show. And Josh, you have something that you wanted to talk about today. And I want you to talk about it too, because I don't even know how you do this.
Yeah, one of the things that I know, so I feel like I need to find, usually for every single thing I do, I usually need to find like some form of process in order to make it consistent. Because, so for example, getting like preparing to do this show, doing this show,
right?
Like I think we have, for the most part, I like we can always like riff on it and like refine it. For the most part, like in terms of like time and then effort and output, like it's fairly simple, and I think we've like intentionally done that way. But the output process, like I have kind of like taken on the process. Will does a lot like with like setup, and then also like the website and everything like that. I've taken on the process of taking the YouTube video, putting it as a podcast, like that whole thing. And I've done a pretty poor job recently because it's just been a slow process.
Yeah.
Mostly because I'm like, okay, how much do we want to refine and make it better than just like a live show that's now like a YouTube video? But the biggest part I think that I've kind of learned is like the goal is not necessarily to have like all these perfectly edited clips and everything like that. The goal is to like consistently do it. And so how can we like consistently do it? And so that when we have a backlog of 100 shows, it's easy to be like, yeah, you can literally watch or listen to all 100 shows or just clips from the shows.
Yep.
So I've started to do basically a process of as soon as like we are done, I get the recording of like both Will's and mine video, and then any like clips that we've shared automatically get sent to me. And then it's like easier then to then push that into a template that I have in Final Cut Pro, upload that to YouTube, and then have a audio recording of that. Cut out a little bit at the beginning, cut a little bit at the end, but not cutting anything else out. And then that way we just have like a audio version of the show.
Just get the full versions done and up. And then if there's something like I had mentioned this last week where it's like, I think having a system to get the basics, you know, like let's make sure that every week we know the basics are handled with low effort from both of us. I do this. It's the same with the newsletter. Like I've got a template set up now, which if you're not part of the newsletter, go to riffandrefine.fm. There's an email form. We send out a summary of each show each week. So I've kind of got that where it's like I take the audio, upload it to Claude in a project that I've set up and have given it like a template. And I just say, hey, go through, like I get a transcript of the audio, put the transcript in and tell it to like, hey, pull out all of the segments and the things based on this template and fill out these. And then I'll just go through and like tweak things to kind of fit our voice a little bit more if it didn't nail it. And then kind of throw it up in Bento and send it out pretty quickly. Like it takes maybe like half an hour to do that.
Nice. That's the next step of my process. I started doing it, but now usually I like to be like, okay, here's like a specific time where I do it every single week. And so now I've like actually scheduled that in my calendar to do it. So the next step is doing the clips. So it's easy. I've templatized a lot to like do the full show. We get that up on YouTube, get the full podcast out. On Monday is when the full podcast will be released in the full YouTube show. And then throughout the week, hopefully clips of like each segment where it's more of like, you know, when we were talking about the nostalgia versus excellence, like that's a great 2.5 minute to 5 minute clip, you know.
Agreed.
It's a good video.
And we can both jump in on those, you know, like we're both not unfamiliar with clipping. So it's like, if we both were like, hey, these two things would be a good clip, then we could both be like, all right, you take this one and clip it up and I can take this other one and clip it up.
Yeah.
So that it's
I think the best way is like, I use Descript. So I think that might be a good way. If I add you into it. I've said that I was going to add you. I just haven't done it.
No, don't even worry about it. Like here's the way I'm thinking about it, which is just like, if y'all don't listen to it, y'all need to. Jay Klaus is great. Sick clips. Jay Klaus has like a lot of good information for people who like want to create content of any kind. But his like whole thing is just like, you should always focus on like your foundation first. Yeah. And then worry about your discoverability, because it doesn't matter how discoverable you are. If people are like leaking out of your quote unquote funnel, then like it doesn't matter. So it's like, that's the way I think about this, which is just like, if we tighten up our foundation of like, we have a good, like, I think we've kind of gotten to this point where it's like, okay, the first thing we had to just figure out was like, how do we even do a show? I feel like we're firing on all cylinders there. Next thing is like, okay, well, how do we get the show like wrapped up and shared with everybody? And like, how do we summarize it for people who weren't able to make it? Like the newsletter, podcast feed, YouTube feed is like here's how people can enjoy like the thing we're making. And like clips and like extra things on top of it is just like, how can we go wider? Like, how can we have more people that find us and like get to the content? And like, that's always like can come down the line. So,
yeah, I think kind of like our previous talks about like, you know, optimizing, I think like our goal is making this show, like this hour segment or however long we usually do it. I think it's usually been pretty consistent, like 60, 70 minutes. Yep. Like if we could optimize for this, because, you know, doing 100 of these, then that's later adds in to be like, hey, we've got this down. Like, it doesn't really matter too much about, like, okay, people know every Friday at this time they can tune in, you can be here. Everyone in the chat, you know. Henry,
Which, speaking of,
Orkward.
glad to have y'all here.
Yeah.
He posted, Orkward posted this, and I just wanted to like make a comment on it. Dude, this is the way. Like, whether you're coming from design to code or code to design, like you just start writing it. You're always gonna feel like imposter syndrome. Like, I feel imposter syndrome all the time because there's always somebody, because we've got such a way to see the work from everyone around the world. It's so easy to be like, oh man, like I'm not as good as this person who is like in the top 1 or 2% of like designers or developers. But it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, as long as you're doing it, like you're creating some kind of value. And clearly, if y'all don't know, Orkward is like a design engineer who has like worked with Netflix and other big companies. So like, I don't think clearly you're not writing good code has not been too big of a problem. Speaking of imposter syndrome, Scorpion.
Yeah, let's do a quick segue. What was
I have
the
no
Scorpion
idea.
segment?
I have no idea how those relate, Jason. However, you just had to shoehorn it in, so I had to talk about it. All right, so went on our vacation last week. We were in the pool, and I literally like go. This is in North Georgia, and I go to like put my hands on the edge of the pool to push myself out, and as I'm pushing myself out on my pinky, suddenly I feel this just like feels like a hornet sting or a bee sting or something.
Okay.
And I'm just like, ah. And Palmer, my 5-year-old, who's like right beside, well, she's 6 now, my 6-year-old, who is like right beside me, goes, what happened, daddy? Like, wow, like I've never hear you scream or like shout about anything. And I'm like, ah. And I look over, and there's this bitty scorpion just like looking at me like some punk, like, you better not come in my space. And I'm like, what are you even doing here? Like, who said scorpions were allowed down here in Georgia in the South? Like, Alabama, Georgia, like scorpions don't exist. And then suddenly, like, as soon as that happens, I see a scorpion. I'm like, oh man, every TV show, every like thing you've heard as a kid is like, scorpions are poisonous, like watch your back. And I'm like, oh shoot. And then they're like, the smaller they are, the more poisonous and bad it is. Like, don't worry about the big guys, it's the little guys you got to watch out for. So I'm like freaking out, and I'm trying not to because all of my kids are watching. And so I'm like, nope, got to be big, strong. Like, don't want to freak them out and have them like scarred for life. So I'm like playing it cool, like, oh, it wasn't a big deal. Like, it barely hurt. And like, my daughter's just like, oh, scorpion. And like, she's freaking out, running to the other side of the pool. Like, my son is literally swimming closer to try and pick up the scorpion. I'm like, back up, son. And so like, meanwhile, in my head, I'm just like, oh, this is bad. Like, I'm gonna have to go to like an ER. Like, it's poisonous little scorpion, like the smaller. And this guy's like 2 inches, like, oh, this is not good. And then thankfully, like, somebody who was like sitting on the side of the pool, like quickly Googled like the type of like took a picture of it and put it in like AI or whatever, and like got the name of the scorpion and looked up all that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, it's not even a big deal. It's like literally just getting a bee sting. But I was just like, what? Who said scorpions could come over here in my, like, that's your thing, Josh. Like, you keep your scorpions in Arizona. I don't want them.
We have the invisible ones over here, where it's like you have to shine like a black light in order to find them on your floor.
What?
Not in our house, but I know a lot of friends' houses that, especially when construction happens, you know, they're all over.
There's like invisible scorpions.
That's
like
they're translucent,
like,
so it's very hard to see them because they're small, translucent.
No, thank you. I'm out.
You have to, like, it's very hard to see them unless they're moving. But yeah, it was imposter syndrome then.
No Riff and Refine live shows in Arizona. Sorry, I'm out. Yeah. What, Jason? What exactly?
It was imposter syndrome then for you, though. You had to pretend that you were fine.
Yeah, that's true. I did have to pretend that like nothing was wrong and I wasn't freaking out inside, so that I didn't scare my children. But yeah, no, that was all right. That was a time. All right.
Henry talked about music. This was foreign from years of music. This was back when we were talking about, you know, segue. Like, you kind of have to like test the waters. You don't ask questions when it comes to music. You just do things. There's rules that you learn how to follow so that you don't follow them. And I found this clip, and then I've just been watching all of this guy's stuff. This guy named Arya.
Favorite. Oh, I love falling down the rabbit hole of like a new creator of something.
He's incredible, but also like we're friends of the Mostly Technical Pod, even if Ian and Aaron refuse to talk to us or get on the show or anything.
They're not even acknowledging our existence yet. We'll get there though. when we become their first customer. Have you heard the last week's episode?
I did. I did.
Okay,
I was
we're gonna
the whole
be
time
their
I was,
first
I forgot
customer.
to text you, but I was like,
Yeah. Anyway,
that is literally what we need. That's gonna replace linear after we got it all set up.
exactly.
But no, I was thinking, I was watching this guy, and he's actually from New York, and the whole time I was thinking of like, this is like what Ian should be like sharing with people like Aaron, and be like, hey, this is why you come to New York. And so
Aaron
we'll go ahead and play this clip.
You know, Coldplay, Rule the World.
Yeah?
Yeah, I want to see if you can actually do that.
Wait, what are you asking me to do?
I'm gonna give you 30 seconds of Rule the World. I'm gonna see if you could cook up a beat.
You want me to sample Coldplay?
Yeah, I know you know Viva La Vida.
Okay, all right. I should pull it up because I'll get the good audio. Does that work?
Yeah, you should do it. Welcome to New York, where you can chase your dreams right here. You can end up stargazing and the stars don't care. You can make it out here, you can make it anywhere. I tell them opportunity is right there. Yeah, the state of mind, state of grind, state of shine, you had to do it. Welcome to New York, bacon, egg, and cheese is just included. Weirdness, kindness, spreading love the Brooklyn way. Tell them that they see me if they looking, that's another fate. I'm a lion in the jungle when he rumble, when he stepping. I rule the world if I can keep it calm and effervescent. New York City where the lights up in the air. Welcome to New York City where your price ain't never fail. Take the Q chain to go to Coney when I be stepping. I take the W when I go to Queens when I rap it. I take the 4 to go to Bronx when I cook up on the beat. Welcome to New York, baby, what you mean? You know New York people never really cruel like. You know New York people do it better too like.
Oh man, that's so good. How did what?
I don't even know where I found the first clip. I can't remember that far back.
Yeah.
But he does live streams where he goes on the streets of New York.
Sample guy, right? We're talking about the sample guy, not the rapper.
Yep. Sample guy, the guy with the whole like
the guy who rapped was still pretty good. That was pretty good.
And he just goes up to people and he'd be like, hey, you want to like sing or like rap to this? And so just random people, like one, it's incredibly cool what he's actually producing and doing.
Right.
He has a whole video on his whole setup, and I was just watching that.
I'm about to watch that
for
that
ages.
Is going to be my weekend watch.
But dude, he actually, Jason, talking about Harry Mack, Harry Mack came on his, found him in New York City Park, whatever that big park is. He found him, and he like there's a clip of like Harry Mack with him just like the past like 7 days, I think.
So good. Yeah.
But yeah, the Ari at home is the white guy, the one with the keys, and he literally just like he'll go for 3-4 hours of a live stream carrying this huge beast of a system.
He live streams?
Yeah, live streams it all.
Incredible.
So he does he basically like starts just building out a beat, and then he can rap too. He's a really good rapper and singer and stuff like that, but he'll just get random people be like, "Hey, you want to jump in on this?" And they'll just do it. Yeah. There's no rules to like this improvised music. But like I saw a couple clips from him, and I'm like, I need to start making music again.
Yeah, that's like
the first
it's so inspiring. Yeah, you see how like free they are with it, how like they don't have rules to it, and they don't have like, well, here's the thing that I also thought about too, which is just like, talk about how incredible, like how good he is at his craft. Like we talked about this, I think last time, which is just like, you can't do stuff like you can do whatever you want. I'm not saying you can't do stuff like this, but like when you see him, what you like realize is that he has done this so much and he's
been doing it for like close to 5 years.
Yeah. Like he is so deep in his craft that like he can so quickly pick up from like a small section of music. Oh, well, like these are the things I need to clip real quick. And like, is it the next like top 100 Billboard hit? Like, I don't know, maybe not, but like most likely not, but it doesn't matter because like, he can do like he just is able to move so quickly and exactly, so much practice. And it's like that's what I was like kind of talking about with like craft and stuff, where you get so good at like your medium, the thing that you work with, that like you begin to see and be able to do things that people think is magic, but like it's not. There's nothing magic about it. You just know the medium that you work in so well, and I love seeing that kind of stuff. Like people who are just like so good it feels like magic watching them.
Yeah, where it's like he probably and I haven't watched too much of his past stuff. I did see when he used to. So he used to just stream from his apartment, from his house during COVID time. So it makes sense. But then like he slowly got to this, and I would imagine. I mean, I haven't done too much, you know, street performing. I've done a little bit, but like I would imagine that you get it's much easier when you are like in the comfort of your own home. You're like used to, like, you have everything, and of course, like he's had his whole setup, but like he's gotten to the point where now he can just walk and literally be like, oh yeah, you want to, like, he has people tell him like, hey, give me like a style, and so he'll make a beat like based on that style, or like
Man,
or the
just
sample.
the amount of just like reps that you have to do with music, both consuming music and like trying to play music and try to make different kinds of musics. That's like where they talk about like copy like an artist. I think this like perfectly segues into the my last topic that I have, which is this idea of quality versus quantity. All right, now I'm gonna pop this up because Jason, you said you can grow a skill, but some people are more skilled naturally. Totally true. 100%. This dude is just is gifted.
Yeah.
And you might think that he is. Maybe he's not. Like, here's the thing. Like, maybe he's not. Maybe he's just put so much more time and hours into it than anybody else is willing to. And I do think that there are some people who are like well gifted in certain things, but I think that everybody can be like excellent at something if they put in the time and effort and the reps that other people are not willing to do. And so it comes to like this discussion of like quality versus quantity. And I think people always talk about like quality versus quantity as if like you should want more quality. And I think there's also an argument for like why quantity is better. And I think there's different cases where one is better than the other. For example, I think for myself, quality is better for like my social network. Like,
Okay.
I get a lot more value out of knowing like the people who follow me are of a certain quality than I just have a ton of followers, like some kind of viral thing. And so I now have like a ton of followers. There's value to having a lot. I'm not saying that there isn't value to having a ton of followers, but I personally would rather optimize for having like specific people read my stuff and be like, man, he's worth following. And then every time somebody of a certain quality follows me, I'm just like, dang, like I'm doing something right. Like, I don't care how many people, but like XYZ people chose to follow me who don't know me personally. I'm doing something right because like I hold them here and they thought I was like worth interacting with and like enjoying the things that I'm making or showing or sharing, etc. So like for me, quality matters there. But on the other hand, there's like creative work, like skill work, where we're talking about where I think quantity is more important. You know, like the guy who's making beats, going out, walking around, doing it for like 3 hours at a time. Like he only got to that point because he was doing it for hours at a time. Like he didn't wait until he like made something really good, or he didn't try to make a few really good things. He probably just spent a ton of hours making a bunch of garbage, like just trying a bunch of different things, seeing how everything worked, making things, whether it was good or not, and just trying out the tool, learning the tool, making like just doing until like everything clicked. And like that is a case where quantity is a lot, like quality is a result of quantity. Whereas I like with like the social stuff, it's like I don't know if quantity ever turns into quality with like social content if you're not like your purpose is not to like put out things that like attract people of a certain quality. You know, like yes, you might get quantity on that journey, but like quality is what you should be going for. Where it's like with creative stuff, it's like you obviously you want to like make quality stuff, but like you got to do a lot of it to get there.
I think Orc Word kind of says it where it's like, I think quantity without obsession, because he says obsession to get good at the craft also plays a huge role. Motivation fades over time, but you need discipline to keep going and be obsessed about getting good at the craft. I think this is where like that quantity and quality matter like converge, because it's one of those things where you can consistently do something over and over. I can consistently, you know, I can make one song every day for a year.
True.
And or like let's do the apps. Like people do like I'll make 12 apps in a year.
Yep.
You could get better at making apps, but it's not going to you're not going to necessarily get better at making apps that produce money, for example, unless you have that obsession of like how am I going to do this? And I think you could still do that with 12 apps in a year. I think you could do it other ways too. But it's one of those things where like
your methods matter.
Yeah, like your end results, kind of like what we talked about with this show. Like we have specific results, and so the quality is going to match our obsession for the results, but the quantity is just practice reps to get there. Totally. I could show like I work out. I try to work out once a day. I usually work out. I work out like maybe like 4 days a week most of the time.
Nice. Yep.
But I'm not going to like hit my goals of like whether that's like currently right now it's losing weight and getting stronger. It's kind of like a both and. But like in the past, it's just been losing weight. In the past, it's just been getting stronger. And it's one of those things where like if I don't obsess over that result, I can still do the same thing, but I'm not going to get stronger.
Yep.
So I think like the obsession is like
doing it the right way. No, I think that's really good. I like that. The method matters. How you go about your quantity. You have to have quality quantity as well. Oh man. So so just as like another
quality quantity. There you go. That's a quote right there.
Quality quantity. I think another thing that falls into this is like family time, like relationships, not necessarily family. And this is like where this idea originally came from for me, which is just like as a parent that you always tell people like people need to optimize for like quality time with your family. And I think that's like, I think the message is true. But when you think back on like where your most important relationships come from, it's not because you had one or two incredible moments with that person. And so because of that, they're like the person you care about the most. It's like the amount of time you spent with somebody, whether it was good time or bad time. Like I think about it a lot with like, who were your closest friends throughout your life? And most people will say it's the friends that I had in like high school or college. And some people are like very lucky to still have their college friends. And other people don't. And the reason why you were such good friends is because you spent so much time together, because you had to. Like you were in school, you had to be in school together. Like no matter what, y'all were all showing up to school, spending time in the same classrooms, whether it was fun or not. So like, because you were together, you tried to find ways to make that time fun, because like nobody just wants to have a boring time. And sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't, sometimes it was boring, but like the type of people that you can literally do nothing with are like the people you have the closest relationship with. And so like, that's the way I think about it a lot with like time with my kids, which is just like, okay, I don't have to wait until I can like pay for the best vacation for my kids. I don't have to wait until like I can do this incredible thing with my family to do things. Like obviously we have time around the house, but like over to like the aquarium that's like an hour away, and but like we went and did something together as a family. So it's like that's like where I think about it is like. And it's the same with like the friends I'm trying to make as an adult now. Like I'm going to conferences. I'm like chatting with them in groups. I'm like trying to like find ways to just spend time with people, whether it's great or not. It's like quantity is what matters in relationships, because like that relationship grows through amount of time getting to know each other, whether that time is just like the best time you've ever had or not.
Yeah, I think about it like my kids are young. Like my kids are younger than yours because I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, going to be 2. But literally, I don't think they understand like, oh, we spent this much time together, or they don't even really understand yet of like, hey, like we did this really fun thing, or like we went to Legoland together. Like they probably know and like they like those things. But at the end of the day, like we can play literally the same game. like right now, it's I wrap them up in a blanket and they're called a cocoon.
Yeah.
And then
I love it.
Throw them around the house.
Yes.
drop them down, and then they become butterflies, and then we fly around.
I love that.
And we do that probably like
Yeah.
every single time I step out of my office through that door over there.
Mhm.
We do that probably like 10 minutes, and I get tired, and I come back to my office, work for a couple hours, do it again, and literally we could do that same game for months on end. And I think what they're going to like remember, or what they remember at the end of the day, is not that like, oh, we played it 7 times. Like, I think the quantity matters because the effort and almost like the obsession thing again, is like the quantity for your relationships matter because you are willing to do it, but also because you're like, it's notice the time that you could have been doing something else.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So I don't know. I just wanted to have like a conversation about, and like, I think this is something that will come up again and again, where like there's a balance between quality and quantity. And like, sometimes it's one, sometimes it's the other. And like knowing, and like, as pointed out, like with most things, like maybe it's like a gray area in the middle where like you've got to balance both. It's never just one extreme or the other. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up.
Manafon, Mr. Manafon says, I've never managed to make friends at a conference. I don't know why. What's your first tip to make friends?
My first tip to make friends at a conference? Ooh, this is tough because I was very bad. I'm not good. I'm not
an introvert.
Extroverted. I'm introverted, but I'm very, I don't know. I think it's like the Southern Christian nice guy thing where it's like I was raised that way, where it's like, okay, if there's an awkward situation, be the guy who like makes everyone feel comfortable. Like you say something, make there not be awkward silences, that kind of thing. So like I come off very outgoing. I've never made conferences until recently. And I think the reason I didn't make friends is like two parts. One, which is like I was afraid to be like cringe. Like I was afraid to put myself out there and to be thought of as weird or thought of as like, why is this guy talking to me? So like that's part of it, which is just like the willingness to like throw yourself into uncomfortable situations. 2, I think making friends at conferences is just hard in general because it's such a short time period. And some conferences are not optimized for personal time. So like you don't get a chance to build, like the way I feel like you made a friend at a conference is you have a memory together, like some core memory of like an inside joke, like something, and that requires you doing some activity together. So like if you want to make friends, then like ask someone to go to lunch with you. That requires like spending like extra time. And so I think that's just like, you've got to put yourself out there, not be cringe. Start trying to talk to people who you have identified as like going to the conference before the conference, so that you kind of have like an icebreaker in the sense that like, you're like, hey, like we chatted online, like I'm Will, like feels awkward, just go for it. The last thing that I would say is like, build something that you want to talk about, like have something that you can bring to a conversation that is like why people are at the conference, because it's like, you don't have to. I'm not saying that like you can't go to a conference without these things, but if we are talking about like ways to go to a conference and like make friends, it's like you've got to have, it helps to have interesting things that people who are at that conference are interested in to talk about. I don't know. What about you? You've got any thoughts?
Yeah.
Oh, let's hear from the audience.
Derek mentions, and Jason said this kind of as well about kind of, you need both people. Like you need the extroverts that hang around at the conference, and then you can absorb yourself among them. But I do this all the time. Like I am not an extroverted person, but I think just at least the few conferences that I've been at, like a lot of people do come up to me. So like that's been helpful to me because I have put myself out there online. More people have come up to me knowing that, hey, they can talk to me. So that one is helpful. 2, I find the people who everyone else is hanging around, and then I find the people who are like me. They're just kind of like, oh, I'm just waiting for my chance to get in, and then it's easy to talk to them. Where like
totally.
If you're hanging around someone who is naturally more of an extroverted person, is kind of like, either commanding a small circle of the room or just like people naturally cling to like their table at the lunchtime or whatever that is, like it's kind of like almost like brings back to high school. Like you want to like you want to find the people who are in the same spot as you as that, because then it makes it a little easier.
Oh, totally. I like that. It also when in doubt, ask somebody else like why they're there.
Have
Like,
some
why'd
good
you-
questions. Yes.
Yeah, just come with a couple questions that gets somebody else comfortable talking. You know, like
They can be stupid
with
icebreakers,
stuff. Yeah, but like have questions.
but they're good.
Yeah.
My favorite icebreaker is like, hey, Will, would you rather be 3 feet taller or 2 feet shorter?
Okay, I like that one. Definitely taller. I don't think I could handle being a short king. I'm 6'4". I've become used to a certain lifestyle of being tall, so I think I can handle
That's
being
9'4" though. You would break
that's
a
big.
whole lot of
You're
stuff.
not wrong. That you're not wrong. 2 feet. Did you say 2 feet shorter? So
2 feet
like
shorter.
4 foot.
Yeah.
I don't know. Could be interesting to be little. How about that Diddy guy? Am I right? That's one way to
I
like
guess
have an
yeah.
icebreaker, I guess, Jason.
All right. With that, Will, what are you doing next week?
Next week, I am got a very busy week with like this is like one of the things now, which with this new job is like I'm now having to like be very mindful about my schedule, like how I squeeze in other stuff. So I had a lot of ideas for like things that I want to be like experimenting with, building, and now I am like whittled down to literally only 2/3 things that I can focus on. One, my job, because like I'm now in a season of life where like my job is unfortunately, quote unquote, fortunately, I didn't say unfortunately. My job is like all consuming for a little bit. And I'm like sprinting at work. So that means like I don't have like the bandwidth to do other stuff. However, I am speaking at Laracon, as we've mentioned. So like that just has to be a priority. So I'll probably be spending nights finishing up my talk and finishing up like my demo for the talk. And I also have like another talk in September that I'm trying to like get ahead on and be able to work over a longer time horizon, because I think I'll be busy for a few months at work. So I don't want to have to like scramble and kill myself the closer I get to that one. So I'm trying to like balance those out. And then the other thing is this show and the things that go with it, like writing the newsletter, coming up with topics, planning the show, being involved in this. So those are that's all I got next week. Due to, as we mentioned at the start of the show, sometimes like your schedule in your life just gets shaken up whether you want to or not.
I feel that. Next week for me, I am kind of, I don't know, I've just been in the flow of work and personal stuff and family stuff. Like it's just been kind of consistent,
Summertime,
I would say, for the
Something
most
about
part.
summertime.
Yeah, something about summertime. I like the next big thing is Laracon for me. I'm not really doing too much for that. Like for Laravel professional stuff, we have some like courses that I'm making and videos that I'm making for that, but that's normal work job stuff. And then outside of that, I've just been trying to build more in the sense of like making more things. Like I've been usually every night I've tried and like working on like my phone app that I'm kind of just tinkering with and figuring out. I've been Jason kind of like mentioned way back is like, you should see my Amazon cart filled with hey Josh, not Josh's Amazon cart filled with gear right now, but it's actually true, because I think just a combination of outside, even before I found that Ari at home dude, I have been in this process of like, I need more outlets. And so development and making videos has been one cool thing, but I want to stretch myself past that. And like, I even like, I don't know, I've been thinking about like streaming more and maybe even using like music to also like help do it. Maybe like some development stuff with music.
I love that. Yeah.
And so I've been tinkering more with music. My personal goal is I want to play the piano better.
I see that little bitty one behind you.
I can play it decent enough. Like I can play one hand, two hands, some chords. Like I'm not I can't just be like, oh yeah, let me
just jump on here and put something together. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's my personal goal. So that is my like this next week. Is like consistently, it's less of like doing the things and more about finding a consistent schedule that works, that I'm not giving up too much. And so that's my next week.
I like that. Orkward here was like zero time for anything. Had to look at my calendar to see if he could even drop his mom at the airport. You're doing too much, man. I mean, I get it. Sometimes you go through seasons of life where you do everything, but
No.
you gotta find, like you were saying, Josh, it's so important to find those outlets. Otherwise you just burn yourself out, and then you can't even do, like, it doesn't even feel like you can show up to do the basics anymore if you're not having like some way. I saw that you like, sometimes you like airport hop, and I feel like that might be your way, Orkward, of like getting getting away on the weekends and like trying to do something that you feel like you're getting in a new area, a new space. I do that sometimes with work, where I'll like go work at like a Starbucks for a morning 2 times a week, just to like break myself out of my rhythm, and it feels like I've got like a whole new like lease on my work day. It's nice.
Nope.
You should stream design engineer stuff. I should. I'm working on something now. It is such an interesting getting that muscle of just like sharing in progress work, and like how you're working on it is almost as much work as doing the thing itself. And it's definitely a muscle that I need to work at. The speaker at a conference,
speaker at a conference 2013 said our creative output requires a balanced amount of creative input.
Yes. Like giving yourself space to just absorb. 100%. I like that.
Consume to create.
That feels like a good thing to end on. Sorry. Well, no, I will acknowledge Emmett. He was saying that school just ended, and so he's got family home for the summer. So it's just, man, having kids at home, working from home is always an interesting balance. I love it. It's tough from a work perspective, but like, I don't know, like there's nothing better than getting to just walk out that door and just like have a kid run up to me, Daddy, I'm in. I'm like, love it. So good. Stressful, but good. Anything else, Josh?
I don't think so. I think that is it. Until next week.
Y'all have a good weekend. Peace.
See ya.